Welcome to the Thunder Underground podcast. This is episode 94. My name's Trent, and as always, I'm joined by Jason. How are you?
I'm great.
Great.
I'm doing great.
That's great to hear. Episode 94, we've got two members of Guns for Roses on here.
Yes.
And there's a 4 there in the middle.
Yeah.
Because this isn't Guns N' Roses, this is Guns for Roses.
Not Guns N' Roses, Guns for Roses.
But it's the next best thing.
That's right.
Because there's tribute bands all over the land, but this, you could probably put the label premier in quotes in front of this.
Yeah.
You know how people like to do with things that are really good. You know, we've got Chris Bender and Eamonn Gallagher, the guys that play Slash and Duff in this band. So we'll get to talking to them here in a bit, and we're going to talk all about what we saw from their show and everything here in a bit as well.
Yep.
But here we are, episode 94. You know, 94 in Guns N' Roses history. Interview with the Vampire, Sympathy for the Devil.
That was it then, wasn't it?
That's basically the last thing before Chinese Democracy.
Yep.
Well, no, I take that back. There was the song on End of Days.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
The last thing that most people remember.
When was Spaghetti Incident? Was that 93?
Yeah, 93.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yep. And
I like that record.
Sympathy for the Devil was the last thing that, you know, had the core band together. Mm-hmm. But supposedly, you know, Slash's parts were replayed by, what's his name?
Paul Huge guy or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's some info for you.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. We're going to talk a little more about Guns N' Roses here in a bit, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
But before we get into that, we were going to talk about the RnR Hall of Fame for a bit.
Because, hey, everyone likes to get pissed off.
Yeah.
So let's just do it.
Yeah, that's what we do. We went on a 10-minute rant back when the Grammys were out.
Yeah.
Just because people were bitching about the metal category, and it's like, if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't even been talking about it.
Yeah.
And the Rock Hall is something that I swore off many years ago. But of course, like any music geek, you know, you still pay attention when it comes out so you can bitch and moan.
It pulls you back in.
Yeah.
Godfather style.
But the thing is, you know, me and you both have bitched about the Hall of Fame for years and years.
Oh, man, yeah.
And, you know, I will like to, toot our own horn, so to speak, say we were doing this well before we heard Eddie Trunk on his radio show doing it. So this isn't something where we're just following in the footsteps of someone else that's running their mouth. I swore off the RnR Hall of Fame so much to hear Guns N' Roses as a subject of this podcast.
Yeah.
That's my favorite band of all time.
Mm-hmm.
They were inducted 2 years ago now, and I didn't even watch it.
Yeah.
That's how much I hate the fucking RnR Hall of Fame.
That's right. That's right.
You know, and every once in a while I think I'm going to watch that, but I still stand by my ground and don't do it.
Yeah.
The only thing since the Metallica thing, like 10 years ago, however long that ago was, 9 years ago, was like the last time I watched. And the only thing I've watched since then was Alex Lifeson's speech. was it Neil Peart's?
No, it was Alex Lifeson's speech. Yeah. And it was literally the best speech in the history of speeches ever. I watched it because everybody kept saying that. And sure enough, it was great. I mean, it was the fucking smartest, greatest, funniest, most fuck youist thing he could have done.
Yeah.
You know, and it was absolutely brilliant. And if you don't know what we're talking about, just Google, YouTube, Alex Lifeson's RnR Hall of Fame acceptance speech. Yeah. And you will be amazed and you'll be amused at the same time.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't know where to start. We can start with the nominees, or we can just start with saying that,
I mean, you know,
this whole thing is, everyone knows the RnR Hall of Fame's fucked up. The first major point is it should be called the Music Hall of Fame.
Yes,
because of what they've turned it into over the last
I think so.
Probably
I agree.
10, 15 years.
Yep.
By putting in major pop stars and rap stars and all that stuff, which, you know, I think Madonna is exceptional. And I think NWA was an amazing group.
Mm-hmm. But it's not rock and roll.
Yeah. I mean, that's the Music Hall of Fame is what it is now.
Yep.
And, you know, sure, Ice Cube or whoever last year made their argument on how they are rock and roll.
Yeah.
Which, you know, was a great argument. But at the end of the day, it's rap music.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's got the attitude of rock and roll, sure, but whatever. The point is, Madonna is in the Hall of Fame and Iron Maiden is not.
Exactly.
because it's just, I don't know what the bias is there, because Iron Maiden is fucking huge.
Yeah.
But it's like, so everyone knows this whole thing is kind of effed up, and it's always been that way. And you think, well, now, look, now they finally put in Kiss, they finally put in Deep Purple, they finally put in Cheap Trick, they finally put in Rush, in the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
But Kiss should have been in, what year? Would it have been 99, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think would have been when they were eligible.
Yep.
So that's just kind of a slap in the face. And then Alice Cooper, it took 10 years. Van Halen took like 10 or 12 years.
Yeah, I know.
From the date they're eligible. And both those artists should have been in like before they were eligible. Like Alice Cooper, just like Black Sabbath and Deep Purple, fucking started a genre of music.
Yeah.
Van Halen revolutionized the guitar. Go on. So anyway,
it's ridiculous. It's and then Green Day and Metallica get in the first year they're eligible, and that's just fucking stupid to me. And me and Metallica is my favorite band, and I was glad to see him in there. But
Metallica is the one band though you can make that argument for, I think. Jumping the other bands that came before him.
I don't know. I don't know, man, because, like Deep Purple, Cheap Trick, Rush, they should have been in before.
Without a doubt. They should have already been in there. It shouldn't even been a thing. Yeah. And that's the other thing. That's another thing to point out. That's the last one I watched, and I remember clear to this day that James Hetfield on stage said, hopefully this opens the door now. And he mentioned those bands, Deep Purple, Rush. And I know he mentioned Motorhead and Iron Maiden, and I don't remember who else.
I think, stuff like that, yeah.
And, some of those are in there now, but it took another 8 or 9 years.
Well, and what you're going to start seeing now is you're going to start seeing these bands that should have.
Yeah.
Because, when you get in the Hall of Fame, you get a vote. And also people like Eddie Trunk, and more people that they're getting votes.
That's true.
They're able to vote now.
Yeah.
And so you're going to start seeing some of this stuff. You're going to start seeing some justice be served, I think.
Yeah. And we can say that it's happening now, and they're making right, I guess. But at the same time, it's like, I still am holding on to that. Too little, too late,
Yeah. Well, it just, and maybe this is just me like going way off on a thing, but like with RnR Hall of Fame and Rolling Stone, they just seem to really they want the stuffy, man, I don't even know the term to call it, but if it's, the more really, really classic, more organic, almost folky kind of acts is who they really cater to. It just seems like if it's anywhere near loud and distorted and, well, fuck it, fun, I'll say it. They just shy away from it, Yeah. If it's something that some, old fuddy-duddy can call corny, they don't want anything to do with it.
Right.
And I don't know, like I said, maybe that's a bad way of putting it, but.
Well, no, there's whole genres of music that are obviously heavy metal gets completely overlooked.
Yeah.
80s rock with the bands like that should be in there, like Motley Crue and Def Leppard and Bon Jovi. And then, the metal ones we already mentioned, plus Judas Priest.
Yeah.
And so on. And then you've got 70s arena rock. Boston, Foreigner,
no
Styx.
kidding.
All those bands are completely ignored. Cheap Trick's like the only one that's kind of snuck through, and because they were a little different than those anyway. But it just doesn't make sense. Journey and Yes are on the ballot finally.
Yeah, finally.
Which is another thing that doesn't make sense. Those are other two bands that should have been on the ballot when they were eligible.
Yeah. How can you not have Boston?
Right.
That first record, every fucking song is literally a radio hit.
Yeah, you can't name another album ever.
Yeah, exactly.
That I can think of.
Yeah.
That there's every single song is a classic rock staple.
Yeah,
there's not a single one. It's
ridiculous.
Like the Black Album or Appetite or Hysteria. Those come close, but they've still got a few songs that don't.
Exactly. And then there's also I think for his music alone, Ted Nugent should really be considered.
Oh yeah.
But he'll never make it in ever.
Right.
For his politics. So. And that's a whole other story. That's a whole other podcast right there. Either way.
Yeah. Well, just looking at this, the new pattern of the Hall of Fame over the last few years is now every year a major band from the late 80s, early 90s I guess we're getting into the 90s now, obviously. Because, if you don't know, the rule is supposedly 25 years from your debut album is when you're eligible. And so now a band that had, came out in whatever year, first year eligible, is up for induction and gets in. Which in some cases is stupid, but in other cases it makes sense. Guns N' Roses deserves to be in there, but sure, not before, Deep Purple, not before Iron Maiden. Yeah. But anyway, they're there. Then it happened with Green Day. It happened with Nirvana. And here we are now with Pearl Jam. So that's this year. So that's like a lock we know going in.
Oh, yeah.
And then the other one is there's always a major rap artist now every year going in. And this year there's only one on the ballot. So, Tupac's going in.
Tupac will go in, yeah.
And, I think the guy deserves credit. He's one of the better. I know you're not into rap, but I always like the guy. But at the same time, like we already spoke, he's not rock and roll, but Judas Priest is rock and roll.
Exactly. And I agree. I always, I don't really like rap, but I recognize what Tupac did for the genre. And maybe there's a Hall of Fame somewhere for him to go into, but rock and roll, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, let's start with Pearl Jam because I know that you have a strong opinion on this. And my opinion is, it's going to happen because they put that first year band in every year because because most of these bands are still current in the limelight to, people that be paying attention, maybe our age or whatever.
Yeah.
And it helps with ratings. It helps with people coming there, and that kind of shit. So I understand that this is going to happen every year. And I think they're a shitload more deserving than Green Day is.
Oh, I agree. But like you said, it's just it's the sexy pick.
Yeah.
It's the young pick. And mark my words, just watch. Coming in February or March, oh, look who has a new album, Pearl Jam. I mean, that's how it always goes. Right. I mean, really.
Hey, Cheap Trick did it last year.
Yep.
Or this year, and it was great.
Yeah.
That album was great.
And so I know, we know that they're going to go in. We know it.
Right.
And, my big thing is the whole drummer issue.
Yeah.
With, because Dave Abruzzese, says that he should go in, but I don't guess he's on the ballot.
Right.
And he didn't play on 10. Yes, that's right. That's fine. But he did come in and, during that cycle and toured heavily and was on their next two albums, which were fucking huge as well.
Yeah.
So, how can you not put him in there?
Yeah, and Matt Cameron's on there, right?
Oh, I don't know. I tried to look you just see Pearl Jam. I tried to look to see who exactly was, Well,
see, the other, if you don't know, the rules are supposedly you're eligible if you played on an album. Mm-hmm. But of course, there's bands that have had 4 million members and they're not going to put them on there. They just pick like the popular lineups or the current lineup or the longest standing lineup. And then some bands will get extra guys put in, Metallica, of course, all three bassists went in because they all three have had long stints, but like you said, Dave was a part of that during their biggest period. Yeah. And, Pearl Jam's still huge. They fill up arenas, but that was their heyday of when that music was huge. So that doesn't make any damn sense to me.
It doesn't. And so are you going to what about the guy that played on 10 that was in the band for 5 minutes?
Right. Is
he going to go in?
Yeah.
I get it maybe because he played on 10, but I don't know. This is where it gets crazy. And then, Jack Irons was there for like 5 minutes, and now Matt Cameron, and the albums that he's been on, I can guarantee you haven't sold as good as, 10 Vitology or Versus.
Right.
So it's just like, where do, and that's just, and that's where we're at with some of this stuff.
And that's Rob from Metallica went in and he played on their most maligned album. And at that point, right? Were they in before Death Magnetic came out, right?
It was after Death Magnetic.
Oh, was it? Okay.
I think it was 2009.
Okay, never mind. Well, he had played on 2 albums at that point, and
2 albums.
Well, he didn't play on Saint. Oh, he didn't play on Saint Anger because that's Bob Rock. That's right. So he had played on 1 album at that point.
Yeah.
And sure,
exactly.
I can make an argument that he deserves to be in there, but not more than Dave from Pearl Jam.
Yeah. So it's just weird how they just do what the fuck they want to do and they don't care.
Right.
You know? I mean, really, that's really what it boils down to.
Because you look at Kiss as a huge example of they put in the 4 guys and that's it. Yes. Sure, Kiss is iconic for those 4 faces from the 70s that they still use to this day. But if you're putting this band in the Hall of Fame, I think Eric Carr should have been in there, and I think Bruce Kulick should have been in there, and Vinnie Vincent should have been in there. You know, say what you want about Vinnie Vincent and the albums he played on or whatever, but he wrote a shitload of stuff that was great that people love. Look It Up, and then, you know, from Revenge, which is arguably their best album. He wrote. He didn't even play on that. He wrote Unholy and something else on there.
Yeah. So. Well, and you know, and that's the thing is that I mean they're ignoring whole eras of a band when they do this. It's just like, I mean, it just baffles me.
Yeah.
You know, it really does. I don't get it.
Well, and Journey is on the ballot, and there's a good chance
what are
they
you
could
gonna
go
do on that deal?
Because my guess is that they put Journey on there, and I bet they get picked because the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame knows how fucking huge it would be for their ratings or their whatever if that was the first place that Steve Perry was back with Journey.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know, that just came out. Did you see that story yesterday?
No, I didn't.
Jonathan Cain said that Steve Perry has to be on stage with Journey.
He what?
Jonathan Cain said Steve Perry has to be on stage with Journey.
He's got to be there, huh?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a current member of Journey saying that Steve Perry has to be there. So, that's my guess is that's the catalyst for that to happen.
Yeah.
And then it'll be massive watched ratings, and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame will be proud.
We'll get back together. Bye, RnL. See ya.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And you know, I think, and what was it? Was Greg Raleigh in or out?
No, he was on the list.
I can't remember. Okay. Should he be, do you think?
Yeah, because, I mean, he was there for a while in the 70s, and, I mean, he wasn't a part of, like, major radio hits, but, of course, Feeling That Way Anytime is, like, a staple and an amazing song. And, like,
it is an amazing song.
Half of that's his voice.
Yep.
You know, I mean, so, yeah, I would think so, because he was there on the early albums, even though it wasn't the most commercially successful part.
Yeah, I mean, well, just that song alone.
Yeah.
I love getting hammered and listening to that song on endless repeat. It's badass.
Right. Well, I will say that when you look at this full list of, 17 on the nominees, it's probably the best list I've ever seen in the last many years as far as I think everybody's deserving.
Yeah.
You know, for, taking out the fact that we said, rap or pop shouldn't be there, like Janet Jackson or Tupac. They're both, if you're going to put people in like that, they both are definitely deserving.
Yeah, they are.
And then you get you look at Steppenwolf and the Cars and MC5, they all did groundbreaking stuff, in their own right.
Yeah.
And what in their genres, Steppenwolf, he created the word heavy metal.
Yeah. That's why I think they might get it. Is in that, Born to Be Wild is such an iconic song.
Yeah.
So I could really see that happening.
And then the Zombies, who I still think Time of the Season is like one of the greatest songs ever.
Yeah.
And if you listen to the lyrics of that, this is another thing I've always said. This is like the precursor to gangster rap. Because he says, "What's your name? Who's your daddy? Is he rich like me?" And this was in 1969.
So it's a lock for you, isn't
it? Hey, I love the Zombies. I mean, if I was picking the 5 out of this list, I might not pick them.
Yeah.
But regardless, Jane's Addiction.
I was about to say, what do you do they deserve to go in there?
I think at some point.
Yeah.
Not right now.
Okay.
I mean, not before. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they had a huge part in, when you look at what you're supposed to look at with all this stuff is a band's influence. They had a huge part in influence in 90s alternative.
Yeah.
And, they didn't even have a huge catalog of music, but they still had a huge impact. Basically the same way Guns N' Roses did. Just not, I guess, on that huge of a level.
Yeah.
But, and then there's Kraftwerk, which was never a huge band, but they were a precursor to Nine Inch Nails and Ministry and all these bands that got huge.
Yeah.
And
you say that for Depeche Mode in a way, too.
Yeah, and I mean, the same thing. That's a whole nother genre of music that's kind of been overlooked. Them and The Cure, were both massive. And, kind of revolutionized that 80s sound.
Yeah.
And, I was never really a fan, but I mean, you can't deny a lot of Depeche Mode songs.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. What about like Bad Brains?
Yeah, it's the same way. They deserve to be there, but there's other bands that probably should go first.
Yeah.
I say that, now I can't think, because, the Misfits aren't in there.
Yeah.
Are they?
True.
Right.
No. But, the Bad Brains, it was such a, they laid so much groundwork.
Yeah, you got to look at the fact,
God, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was a little later than most of the punk stuff, right? And the fact that you had black guys in the band.
Yeah.
And that was like revolutionizing as far as that kind of music went. And, I would be completely happy if they got in.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to happen. I think MC5 would probably get in before them.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of laid that, they kind of planted those seeds.
Yeah.
They really did. And, I think MC5 should probably go before Bad Brains.
Yeah. But I think with what we've got, it's probably Pearl Jam and Tupac, Journey, and then, like you said, probably Steppenwolf or Yes.
Yeah.
And then the other spot's probably Joan Baez or something.
Yeah, true.
Because you got, like you said, that folky side of things or whatever.
Yes, yeah, they've got to do. Yeah, I'm really just stopping short of just saying like old guy rock.
Right.
But I just said it, so whatever.
Well, the other thing to point out is Chic's on the thing for like the 11th year in a row. And I heard someone on that new channel on Sirius Volume, they were talking about it, and they said that everyone knows the reason they're on the ballot is because of Niles Rodgers.
Yeah.
So why not just do, I can't remember who they said, they put someone in the Hall of Fame a while back, just without a vote or whatever, just someone like a lifetime achievement. Yeah. So why not just take them off the ballot and just put him in the Hall of Fame?
Put him on there, yeah.
And they could do the same thing with Lemmy even, because, Motorhead's not going to get in.
Yeah.
If they do, it'd be years from now after, I would assume it'd be after Maiden.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. But Motorhead is Motorhead because of Lemmy, and that's kind of an iconic figure.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
So that's kind of a cool idea is, you could put in guys like Niles Rodgers, Lemmy, and whoever else that kind of transcended the band they were in.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because he played and wrote and did all kinds of shit with all kinds of people.
Yeah.
And they do kind of have like a sideman thing, like a behind the scenes category type kind of deal.
Oh, okay.
But then Lemmy wasn't that,
Right.
So, but I see what you're saying though, definitely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, I don't know. I didn't watch Guns N' Roses, but if Steve Perry's on stage with Journey, I might crack.
There you go.
I might crack and watch it. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Does Yes get in? What do you think about Yes?
Yeah, I think for that fourth or fifth, I think what I say, Pearl Jam, Tupac, Journey, Joan Baez, and then I think that fifth spot's probably Yes or Steppenwolf.
Yeah.
Or, they could just throw a curve and do something like Depeche Mode or someone to get a different style of music in there.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Or Janet Jackson.
Oh, yeah, I could see that. I could see them doing that big time.
Yeah.
The whole MTV thing, all that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, because it's 5, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
5. That's right.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think, I don't think there's anybody on this list, maybe, that would do anything crazy like Alex Lifeson or Axl Rose. My favorite moments of the Hall of Fame was Axl Rose, like, just not showing up and saying fuck off.
Yeah.
Or when the Sex Pistols sent the letter basically saying fuck off.
That was great.
Those are the moments that I love because they're telling, because I see all these idiots online saying things like when Axl Rose didn't show up, like, he should be there and just accept, the honor. I'm like, no, fuck the honor, because it's not an honor, because maybe in Guns N' Roses since it was because they were first ballot, but this place is a sham.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Alice Cooper not going in for 10 years is just all that you need to know.
Yeah. Here's a
Deep
question.
Purple not going in for 25 years or whatever it's been.
Is AC/DC in there?
Yeah.
They are? Okay.
Yeah,
that must have happened.
Yeah, that happened way before
okay, gotcha.
Metallica, like a few years before that.
I see.
Like AC/DC and Van Halen, I think, were kind of back to back maybe.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Or, it could be, what would really be fun to see is something like Blondie, a few years ago where they all just went up there and started arguing like a bunch of fucking babies. That was great.
Yeah.
You know, any of these bands hate each other.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, one thing on the opposite end of that I saw, I think I read this, or maybe I heard it on that channel too, but apparently Chris Squire, before he died, was talking to I don't remember if it was a journalist or someone else in Yes, and basically said that if they ever they were talking about the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And said if they ever got inducted, he would like all 18 members that have ever been in Yes to be on stage.
Really?
Playing at the same time, and then all go in. And then, I don't know enough about Yes. You know, I mean, I know their music, but I don't know their members. But whoever it was that's current now said that they absolutely agree with that, and they want everybody there, which would be 17 members now, I guess, because Chris Squire passed away.
He passed away, yeah.
So that's kind of cool to hear.
Yeah. But I'm sure the Hall of Fame won't let everyone have been there, but they'll let them all up there, I think.
Yeah.
I think.
They might make them pay to get in. I remember, wasn't that the thing that like Ace Frehley was talking about or something? I don't know. Or no, Steve Miller. That was another good one last year.
Oh, yeah.
Steve Miller,
that's another one you guys should Google.
Yeah.
YouTube that. The press conference afterwards, he fucking rips the Rock Hall a new one. And then somebody on the side of the stage says, hey, we need to wrap this up. And he goes, no, I'll wrap you up. It was amazing.
Yeah.
You need to search this and watch it, people.
Yeah. So, yeah, YouTube, Alex Lifeson, Steve Miller, and Sex Pistols.
Yeah.
So is Eddie Vedder going to induct himself since he inducts everybody? No.
He might. That's a good one. Right. That's a good one.
Well, probably rambled about that enough. But we mentioned Guns N' Roses a few times in there. And the subject of this episode is Chris and Eamonn from Guns 4 Roses. Talked to us a bit before they played at the Gas Monkey in Dallas a few weeks ago. We went down to Dallas for the Slayer Anthrax show at the Gas Monkey, and then we had saw that this was happening the next night and thought, well, we can't miss this.
Yeah, let's stick around and check it out.
Because not only Guns for Roses was headlining this thing, but they also had Walk This Way, which obviously Aerosmith tribute. And then there was, what was the name of the
NXS tribute band? I can't remember.
Yeah, well, there was an NXS tribute band, and then there was a Journey tribute band, Worlds Apart.
Yeah.
And all four of them were great.
Oh, yeah. That fucking Journey tribute band, that guy, they didn't do the whole let's look like him or nothing.
Yeah.
And that guy sounded, you could turn around and think it was Steve Perry.
Yeah.
That guy sounded insanely amazing.
Which is
just
crazy.
Spot on Steve Perry.
Yeah, which is crazy to think of, just a tribute band at a show in Dallas. You expect, well, this guy's trying to hit some Steve Perry stuff. This is going to be a little awkward.
Yeah. Yeah.
And no, like you said, this guy, should be at a higher level than he is based off his voice. It was great.
Oh yeah. It was like, wow. It was crazy. And he looked like he was a produce manager at Research or something. And he just went up there and he just belted it out like it was the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah.
It was really something to watch.
Yeah, and they had the sound down great, like the guitars and the keyboards sounded like Journey. They played Phil in This Way, so I know you were happy.
Oh yeah, that was great.
They played Stone in Love, so they hit all the, not even the hugest hits, some of the mid-range hits that are amazing.
That's right.
And then the NXS band did a great job. I love NXS. I think of the four, it was probably my least favorite, but that's just because growing up, I was way more into these other three bands.
Oh, yeah.
But I love NXS, and they sounded great and did a great job. Then Aerosmith, Walk This Way came out, and we didn't know until they hit the stage that it was the same guys from Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, they just kind of...
Outside of the singer.
Yeah, they'll switch instruments, or they'll, put on a different outfit, and, they... for a while they're Aerosmith, and then they go to Guns N' Roses. Yeah.
Yeah, they dressed the part for both bands.
Yeah.
Actually, the two guitarists in Aerosmith, once they did Guns N' Roses, they switched roles. One was lead, one was rhythm, and then I should have looked up his name. The guy that was doing Joe Perry, was doing Izzy in Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
And then Eamonn that was doing Slash in Guns N' Roses was doing
Brad Whitford
in Aerosmith. So they just switched the roles there, but they were both highly qualified to do what they're doing. They're, you're covering solos from Slash and Joe Perry, and they were both doing an excellent job.
Yeah.
And
that was great.
Then
they sounded amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Both bands, Guns N' Roses obviously has a lot of Aerosmith influence in them.
Yes.
So it's not a huge shift, but, they've got different sounds, and they nailed them both.
Yeah.
And they, same bassist and drummer. The singer was the only thing that changed, and they, that singer for the Aerosmith deal did great.
Yeah.
And then once we got to the Guns N' Roses, man, that guy.
Yeah, the guy that did Axl.
Yeah.
Watch out, man.
Yeah, he had it down, like, not just the voice, not just the get up, the way he moved and everything. Yeah. And then even beyond that, like, he would talk between songs, and they played the part like you're watching a show of Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
So he would refer to it like us and we, and just the way he talked, he even sounded a little like Axl between the songs. And then his mannerisms in his face almost kind of looked like it at times too. And I'm like, this guy's doing this thing justice.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just thought they were spot on. I mean, it was just like seeing, I imagine it was just like seeing Guns N' Roses, because, the sound was insane.
Yeah.
It was just a little smaller place, and, the hair didn't look as real. But it was super good. You can tell these guys have really done their homework, and they've practiced their asses off. And that's why they can go down to Columbia and play for thousands and thousands of people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they've been doing this since 2009. And they played in Colombia, I think some Mexico, somewhere else down south, and then they played in Canada. They played all over the U.S. Like I saw Chicago, New York, Florida, of course, this area of the country, California. Oh, yeah. So they basically hit it everywhere in this area of the world. And I even saw they just played, I think it was Edmonton in Canada, like this past weekend on the Halloween show, and they opened for like Bush and Theory of a Dead Man.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy. They're out, doing all kinds of things besides just their own shows. But when they go to like Columbia and these places, they're getting booked as the marquee act.
Yeah.
And like we'll talk about here in a minute with them, the people show up in swarms just like it's Guns N' Roses.
Yeah. Yeah, especially, it's crazy.
Yeah, and just think, these are dudes from Dallas that decided to start a tribute band, and now they're taking it worldwide. So, I got all the respect in the world for that, because, they're doing something they love, and they're doing it justice.
That's
and,
right.
As Guns N' Roses being my favorite band, I saw 2 of the shows on the stadium tour they just did, in Dallas and Houston. And then I just saw these guys a couple months later, and they did it justice.
Yep. You could barely tell the difference, huh?
Yeah, barely. Well, before we get into this, check us out online, thethunderunderground.com. We're on soundcloud.com/thunder-underground. All the previous episodes, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all that great stuff. And speaking of YouTube, Guns N' Roses has a lot of videos up where you can check out what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And they, they cover everything from, all the major hits and even some other stuff. So be sure and look that up. Well, let's just get into this. This is Chris and Eamonn from Guns N' Roses.
I was helping Eamonn tonight with the guitar tech,
Nice. He's actually better than all the musicians around here. I'm just like, hey man, you want to make some money holding my guitar?
They make the best techs. It's like,
much better.
Come on, burn your fucking hands. Fucking cut off a finger. All right, I get a chance. All right, I've been waiting for this shit for years.
Worked for the guy that worked for Metallica. Right?
There we go.
All right, brother.
So we do.
We'll be up in a minute. Fuck off.
So I saw you guys are going to Columbia later this week.
Yep, going to Bogota.
Is that the first time you guys played there?
Okay. We've been to Columbia last February, I think it was.
Cool.
It's a really cool place. Like, Bogota is like amazing. It's up in the mountains, so there's like these huge mountains everywhere. But it's like there's city like built up all these mountains. So it's just kind of like this real picturesque place.
There's history. So it's nice. Whenever we get to play places that have history,
yeah,
it's always our favorite. And Bogota is always a really nice place to play, especially for Guns N' Roses.
Right.
Well, yeah,
it's a well-recepted area.
Yeah, I mean, anything to do with Guns N' Roses in South America is just nuts.
They love Slatch.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
You guys plan it out where you get a couple extra days to.
We actually get a little break in there for some sightseeing. Yes.
Yeah. So we're doing 2 shows. One is in Bogota, and then one is in Barranquilla, which is like a coastal city on the Caribbean. So because of the travel, we have a couple days off in between. So that's nice.
Are they like outdoor shows?
One's a theater, not too much dissimilar from this, and then the other's an outdoor festival.
Okay.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
Yes and no.
There you go.
So do you get treated like rock stars,
Absolutely.
like your Guns N' Roses?
Absolutely.
Type thing? Really?
Like I said, our guidance counselors in high school were way off. This is by far the greatest gig ever.
Yeah.
So it's essentially like being a Viking or a cowboy for a weekend, and you get paid real nice. But we perform very well, so we always make sure that people get their money's worth. And if we weren't worth the salt, we wouldn't be able to eat it. So
Right.
it's always a nice time, especially down there, because the food's delicious.
Yeah.
We have to wait till after the shows because we got to play with our shirts off, and I want to eat all the tacos. And
When
try.
it's bloated.
Oh man! And they have very nice crepes down there. Give a shout out to Crepes and Waffles in Bogota.
Yes. That's awesome.
Yeah, the first time we went, they thought we would want American food, so they took us to like an American restaurant there, and we're like,
Seafood
what
crepes.
are we doing here?
No.
Where's your food?
Do you have hamburguesas? We'll eat those.
That's awesome.
But no, the people were always very receptive, very respectful. We get treated very nice down there.
Mm-hmm.
And so as long as you're respectful, you make it back safe.
Yeah.
Give the people their money's worth, you get back safe.
Oh, yeah.
Is it like that with all the countries you guys played?
Oh
outside
yeah,
America?
everywhere we've been has been amazing. Like, I don't know what they say on TV or whatever about these places in the news, like, oh, it's so dangerous, but everywhere we've been, it's been like, it's no different than here, like, you don't go to the bad part of town in the middle of the night here and just, start walking around.
As long as you don't lock yourself around, you're going to be all right. Just act like a gentleman, handle your business. Because we play San Pedro Sula, it's the murder capital of the world.
Yeah.
We play there several times, and Honduras. Big shout out to Honduras.
But
they're great, and everywhere. Just if you act respectful, it's fine. Just like anywhere.
Just like you said, don't destroy a gas station bathroom.
Yeah, because you're stoned and drunk. Wash your hands and get out.
Exactly.
We go to Mexican border towns all the time, and no problems there.
It's awesome.
So where was the first place out of America you played, or like what was the point where you realized we can take this
so it was
outside of America?
It was like our 4th or 5th ever show. We played this huge radio station festival in a city in Mexico called Hermosillo.
Played for Radio CN.
And it was they'd been doing the festival. They would bring in one tribute band from America each year, and this was about the 5th time they'd done it, and they'd had pretty good success. 4,000 or 5,000 people or so coming out, and the radio was just really blowing it up as like a fun event for their listeners, right? Well, we get down there and they're like, yeah, we've been doing some extra social media and stuff, so we're really excited. And we start pulling into the venue, and it's like Led Zeppelin's Song Remains the Same. We have to have like a police escort just to get in the venue.
They're bumping people with the car.
Yeah. So the venue was supposed to hold like 14,000 people, and they had to turn away like at least 2,000 people because they were at capacity.
We outdrew the Cubs that weekend in Mexico City. Go Rangers! But yeah, it was great. The people, awesome. It was a sea of people.
Yeah.
The real experience.
And from that point on, it was like, every other show is like, well, you can't be intimidated by any other show. It's like there's pyro going off next to you, and there's like this, it looked like an MTV music video.
Yeah, you can see the videos on YouTube. We had people just decide they didn't want to stay in the crowd any longer, so 15,000 people rushed the stage.
No, not 15,000.
Sorry, 14,000 people. Sorry about that. Come on, man! It's Ghostbusters. If they ask if you're a god, you say yes, Ray.
Well, what are like you guys' favorite songs to play, and like what are the hardest ones that are more of a challenge?
I'd say more of the intricate songs, like the songs that are like the orchestrations, the later pieces, like stuff from the Illusion albums. Those are a little more challenging, just like to make sure it's tonally right. You know, if you're drunk, you can play the Appetite album pretty well, so just go out there and rip it. But for the songs where they actually became a band, are the ones where we have to make sure that we focus and all the nuances for, and that's what's so great about our band is we don't use tracks. We are a live band, so every member of our band contributes, 100%. And we have an amazing keyboard player. So, we're not going to say his name because he doesn't deserve any notoriety, but he is an amazing keyboard player.
Yeah. So I haven't ever seen you guys live. Do you split it up into sections, or is it just
we've done that before, or some more recently we've been ordering it more like
we hit you with everything. It's just one nonstop. There's no lag time. You think you're going to get a beer, and then all of a sudden you're like, shit, I got to get back.
Yeah. So we've done shows where we've broken it up into eras, and then have like costume changes that go along with that, and then like tonight's show will be more like a Guns N' Roses concert, so the eras are intermixed.
Yeah. So do you have whoever's doing the dizzy part on stage even for the Appetite songs?
Like
Yep.
With Guns N' Roses, right?
Okay.
So this way you get the full, all the stuff that we don't want to play on guitar, and he's got going back there. So he's a multi-instrumentalist, so we're very lucky to have him. Still no name.
Well, so how did you guys form as a band? Like you all knew each other beforehand, or is
Chris
this something you kind of find people that
he is solely responsible
these parts?
for putting this debacle together?
So what I did is I got the idea to do the band in like 90, a long time ago. I forget. Anyway, let's say 7-8 years ago, and I ended up putting an open ad on Craigslist. I had no other potential members, just me. And the ad title was like Duff seeks Izzy / Axel and whatever one I forgot. Adler, yeah. So anyway, they
he can't remember either, so it's all right.
Right. So anyway, I just started bringing in random people, and I'd get enough guys to, play a few songs. All right, those guys were good enough. These guys weren't quite. So then I'd wait until I had enough more responses for the other positions, and just kept going that way. And it didn't take very long. We had kind of a band together within 2 months, and then right when we found our singer, our Slash like disappeared, like just off the face of Earth. Like I couldn't get a hold of him, had no idea where he was, and somebody messaged me and said they knew Eamonn, and Eamonn had previously been Slash in another Guns N' Roses band, and so somehow between that conversation we got hooked up together, and that was it. That took about 2 more months, I think, before we found Eamonn.
Okay.
But so it took about 4 months total, but we were playing. So audition started in like the end of November, and we played our first gig in May the following year.
Okay. Do you guys play? Do you do Attitude or Duff stuff?
Yep. We make sure that everyone gets there. Their jollies. So. They can't all be Slash fans, unfortunately, no matter how hard I try.
So Eamonn said before, like, we try and hit you. Like, so, a huge band like Guns N' Roses, they can get away with, like, oh, we're going to take a 2-minute break here while we go, take a pee or something. Like, we can't get away with that. People, we don't have that kind of...
stare at us while we look confused?
So... A song like Attitude can be used for Axel to go take a break real quick or switch clothing or whatever. So, we try and take advantage of those type of things.
We've worked all the little magic tricks. We're like, all right, we need a minute so everyone can drink shots. Play that one. And go. So we know everything. So at a moment's notice, the fans, it looks like we can always adjust to our audience.
Okay.
So trust me, if my mom's in the crowd, we got to make sure we get some of the Britney Spears going.
Right.
But that's the best part about a band like this. It crosses so many types of genres of music, from old school rock to even country and some little bit of metal and stuff. And so it appeals for everybody. Yeah. So like I said, it's the best job in town.
So. Well, what did you guys think of Chinese Democracy and all that?
I thought it was a great Axl Rose album.
Okay, cool.
It's a good album.
Yeah.
Songwriting is good. It's just not a Guns N' Roses album.
Yeah.
Just like the Slash the Snake Pit albums aren't Guns N' Roses albums.
Yeah.
They're all good in their own right.
But, I think there's songs on there that could have been hits, but they just didn't have any industry behind them.
Yeah, they needed more guitar players
because they burned so many.
Yeah, needed more guitar players, definitely.
They'd burned so many bridges over time.
1,000 didgeridoos.
Nobody's pushing it at radio or anything. So, I like some of the songs. Some of the other ones, it's like, well, now we can go to the bathroom.
I think that goat sang more on this album than I did.
So.
But what do you think about? I guess did you go to the show here?
Oh yeah, we went to Vegas.
Okay.
Went to the show here. Went to the show in Houston.
Yeah.
And we are fans.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing. I'm like, if you're going to be playing this nonstop, you better like the music.
Yeah.
You know, so otherwise you end up smashing your radio, screaming at people like, "Hey, this is you!" Like, yeah, fucking no.
Well, what'd you think about the Chinese Democracy songs with Slash?
I thought it was great that he played his own solos.
Yeah.
You could tell that I would have liked him to try a little harder. With some of them, you could tell he was just going through the motions as if, thank God Pearl is gone and I can get all my money.
Right.
So, but it was a great job. I mean, I remember when we first started doing it, we were pretty high on ourselves, and we went to actually go see Guns N' Roses the first time they came to, I think it was Smirnoff. And a little arrogant, and it was amazing. And that was without the real band, and so that's when we knew we had to step our game up, and so that's what we've been doing since that time. And so we would have liked to have opened for Guns N' Roses as Guns for Roses, but they weren't as receptive to the idea. So we're like,
their people didn't call our people.
Yeah, we called them. They just didn't answer.
It would have been better than Skrillex in Houston, right?
Oh, it would have. That was the worst.
Yeah.
The worst display of poor tech. I mean, I don't know. Cocaine's a hell of a drug, something, but I've never seen someone jump off beat of their own techno playing.
Yeah.
So let me give you the wrong thing to do.
Oh God, yeah, no kidding.
It was really bad.
The whole cell phone thing was cool looking, but other than that,
it was cool. I mean,
I was down there on the pit.
Yeah, so were we.
It was just fucking.
It was
like vibrating through me.
Well,
like, this isn't even fucking music.
There weren't enough people down there yet.
Destroying Metallica and Pantera.
See, that's the thing. Is like, I appreciate you trying to do the mixes of all the metal bands, but you're doing a terrible job. Can you please just play Groove Is in the Heart so we can all drink beer?
That's awesome. Well, speaking of some of those other bands, what other bands do you dig besides? What were the other influences? Just random.
Locally, I like a band called Carbon.
Okay.
They're really good. I think they got great guitar players. And, good. They got a good backing. Universal Rehearsal, Vince Barnhill. But there's a lot of good bands locally. But I'd have to say, Clutch and Mastodon are probably some of my favorite bands. Just I love smart music, and lyrics that make you think. I'm like, I just wish we could turn our radios off and listen to real stuff nowadays, but unfortunately, you can't.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, no, we're gonna see Clutch next week. So.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Great band.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Did you know the lead singer's sister works for Duff Goldman on Ace of Cakes?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's awesome.
That's right. Got to watch the episode with the orange amp cake.
Yeah.
What about you?
I like pretty much any rock. I like Beatles to Green Day to Metallica or whatever. I haven't much.
You like Death Block too?
I haven't really much got into country or anything like that. I like a little bit of hip hop and pop just for fun now and then, but so pretty much.
He really likes Kendrick Lamar.
I don't
really likes Kendrick Lamar. The answer is yes.
Who that is.
Say yes.
Neither do I. It's okay.
That's right.
It's okay.
Just say yes.
But when you started playing, how'd you get that tone down?
For Slash, it was getting yelled at by the actual musicians in the band. The guy was like, "Can I turn the gain all the way up and just be real loud, right?" And they're like, "No." So I remember the first time I got an actual tube amp.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, Rick Curcio, told me that I need to quit playing those POSs and get me a real amp. So I got myself some real tube amps, and thanks to Rick, I am now better than him. Great job tonight, buddy. Just busting balls, but I'm better than you because of you. But yeah, so it's especially with this, you have to have the right tone. Otherwise, you'll just get inundated with terrible, terrible hate mail.
Yeah.
I personally get shitted on so much, but I love it. It's the best, and that's why I used to play an Epiphone. I loved my Epiphone.
Yeah.
And then it was like 1,000 Epiphone with a question mark after it on all their videos. I was like, I guess I have to buy 6 Gibsons now. Yeah. So we talked to the accountant. That's all right. My mom lent me some money.
There you go. There you go.
Who needs medicine, right?
Yeah.
So I take it Carbon's you?
Yeah, Carbon's one of our bands.
Or is it just...
Just me and my friends Chris Holloway.
Okay.
And we had Big Bad Glenn Pinion. He took a little leave of absence to tour the world. Respectfully. He's a bad mamma jamma. We got Nick McCord over here also is going to come help us out a little bit. Hopefully, we can con him into it. But buy our album. It's free. Free 99.
Free 99? Where can we do that at?
So we have it. It's on, well, I would say MySpace, but that would be 1993. So it's going to be on Facebook. You can find us on Reverb Nation, I believe, under Carbon Rocks.
Cool.
And just download anything you can. I mean, we're a great local band. And so we want to big shout out to Clint Barlow from Trees and the Bomb Factory for giving us a lot of good shows with some pretty kick-ass acts.
Cool.
Well, one final question. You mentioned Facebook. I know you guys have like close to 3 million likes. Like, is that from people outside of the U.S. from all these places you've been? Or
it's from everywhere.
Yeah.
Talent transcends distances, my friend.
There you go.
You know?
Bam.
So once we show up, the likes just go up.
So
every night.
That's right. Every night we sell out. Every night.
2 or 3 years ago, it went from like 100,000 to like 2 million in like 2 months.
You're welcome.
And I looked to like, oh my gosh, did I do something wrong or whatever? And what happened is it just took off in Brazil. Like, you know, when you like something and then you go to you log on and it says, oh, my buddy likes this.
Here,
and,
you like this.
And so people were just clicking, I like it too.
Brazil loves Guns N' Roses, but they hate The Simpsons.
So it just went crazy.
They really hate The Simpsons. It's true. But they love us.
And
their money's very festive.
It's kind of funny because, you know, they think that our page is the real Guns N' Roses page, and so if someone messages us and asks us for tickets to their concert or sign a poster for them or whatever, and so I had to make like an auto reply that says, this is not really Guns N' Roses.
We didn't want to get sued. Axl shows up. So, no, it's dream come true.
Yeah.
You know, we get to make people forget about their shitty work week and, you know, all the problems in their life, and they get to be 15 again and hopefully get a little drunk and get home safe. Buy us drinks. But it's a good feeling, man. You know, it's like doing charity work, but with music and alcohol.
Hell yeah.
The best way.
Yeah.
Call Hallmark, man.
Can you guys play Locomotive for me tonight?
I would
probably not tonight.
Okay.
At least you put it out there, dude.
We might do a little guitar solo from some Locomotives. Maybe my guitar solo throw them out there for you.
All right.
So we'll give you a little nod.
All right. Cool. We appreciate you guys' time.
Thanks.
Gentlemen,
no problem.
It's nice to actually meet classy guys and establishments like this.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, there you go. That was Chris Bender, who does Duff in Guns N' Roses, and Eamonn Gallagher, who does Slash in Guns N' Roses. And of course, like we mentioned earlier, they also have a band, Walk This Way, where it's an Aerosmith tribute.
Yes.
Where they play the Brad Whitford and Tom Hamilton roles.
Yes.
Do an excellent job of that as well. So thank you to them. You know, we reached out to Chris and he set this up for us. We talked to both of them, you know, backstage at the Gas Monkey before their gig. Great stuff, and, you know, glad that we got to do that.
Definitely.
So like I mentioned earlier, thethunderunderground.com is the website. thethunderunderground@gmail.com is our email. If you've got a band, you want us to hear your music, want to buy something, we got t-shirts, koozies, all that great stuff. We're on soundcloud.com/thunder-underground. 93 previous episodes. If you like Guns N' Roses, that era of music, we've had on guys from Great White, Warrant, Europe, Bullet Boys, Trickster. Then we get heavy. We've had on guys from Battlecross, Overkill, Insight, Death Angel, Soil, Drowning Pool, The Obsessed, Megadeth, Act of Defiance, Crowbar. The list goes on and on.
Yeah.
We've got stuff coming soon from some other great bands. And then we're actually going tonight to see King in Tulsa. And we might even be at the Tracy Gunn show for a bit as well.
Yep.
Both these going on tonight. And then Friday night, Scattered Hamlet is playing in Tulsa with Cosmic Wool, which features members of Texas Hippie Coalition and Annie Mortem.
Yeah.
And then there's also Machine in the Mountains on that bill, which is a great instrumental metal band out of Tulsa.
That's right.
And they've been on this podcast as well.
Go check them out.
10 episodes ago or so go check that out.
Yeah.
And Scattered Hamlet, speaking of them, they've been on here a couple times, and you might even hear them again soon.
You never know.
All right, well, you got anything else?
Yeah, our reaction videos we just put out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Talk about that.
3 Metallica songs.
Yes.
Have now been released. Atlas Rise is the newest one. It came out earlier this week on Halloween. We got a reaction video up on YouTube.
Yep.
Our YouTube channel is The Thunder Underground. Get on there, subscribe. We've got that, and then reactions to the other 2 Metallica singles.
And we did a reaction to the new Avenged Sevenfold album.
Yeah, The Stage came out last Friday as a surprise.
Yeah, we went over that real quick, yeah.
Which is pretty big for a band at that level to be able to keep something hidden like that.
Yeah, for no one, and just, oh, hey, here's our new album. It just came out today.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of, I know Trent Reznor did that years ago, but most people can't really pull that off these days. So.
Yeah.
And, we got a reaction for it. We both checked it out, and it's, if you liked Avenged Sevenfold, early on, but kind of lost interest at some point, I'd say give this a listen, and it might bring you back in.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is a lot to listen to.
Yeah.
Maybe break it up into a couple different parts.
Yeah, it's a concept album, and it's heavy on the, what do you want to call it? Concept? I don't know.
Yeah.
Heavy on the
long
broadness,
songs.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a near 16-minute long song on there.
But that one's good. It's awesome.
But you got to hear it, yeah. And speaking of long-ass songs, Metallica's album comes out in about 2.5 weeks.
Yes.
And we'll have a reaction video up for that.
Oh, fuck yes.
And speaking of long songs, I'm going to see Dream Theater in a week and a half. I don't know if you're going or not.
I am not going.
Yeah.
You have fun.
Yeah. I know that's not really your thing. It's kind of like good to listen to every once in a while, but I know.
Yeah, see, dude, it's like, I don't know, man. It's like, I really understand their talent and respect. I think Mike Mangini is one fucking hell of a drummer, probably the best drummer in the world, and I really respect him, but you get into these long songs, man, I just start checking out, I don't know, I guess I'm just too dumbed down or something. I don't know, I start getting antsy.
Yeah. Well, I'll talk about that then after it happens.
Gotcha. Sorry, I went off on the thing there.
No, hey, that's what we're here for.
Okay.
But yeah, I hope to see it King and hope to see it Scattered Hamlet and whatever else we got coming up.
That's right.
Like I said, soundcloud.com/Thunder-Underground, gunsforroses.com. They've got all their dates up there, their previous dates, videos, photos, all that great stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks again to Chris and Eamonn, and until next time.
Thunder Underground, y'all.